Did you know she can sense your desperation before you even open your mouth? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover 5 secrets of emotional intelligence that will transform your attraction ability forever. You've wondered why some men can walk into any room and women just notice them, while others go unnoticed, no matter how much effort they put in. The difference isn't in what they say, it's in what they project without realizing it. And today you're going to learn exactly how to control that projection. Imagine for a moment that you could walk with the same confidence as someone who knows they have options, that you could generate curiosity without saying a word, that you could make her wonder who you really are instead of desperately trying to impress her. That's exactly what you'll achieve when you master these 5 tricks. The first trick is something I call magnetic absence, and this goes beyond playing hard to get. It's about understanding that your value doesn't depend on her attention. When you're truly comfortable with yourself, when your happiness doesn't depend on whether she responds or not, you project something that's irresistible to the female brain. Think about it this way. When you're hungry and someone offers you food, you're not selective, you'll take whatever. But when you've just eaten a 5-star banquet, you can afford to be picky. That's the energy you need to project, the energy of someone who's already satisfied. Neil Strauss explained it very clearly. Women can sense when a man needs their validation, and nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. But when you project that your world is complete with or without her, you automatically become more interesting. Here's a practical exercise. Next time you go out, before talking to any woman, spend 5 minutes observing the environment. Notice the details, the music, the conversations, people's expressions. This puts you in an observer state, not a pursuer state, and that difference is felt. Have you noticed how when you stop chasing something, it suddenly becomes more accessible? This works the same with attraction. When you stop needing her attention, paradoxically, you get it more easily. But be careful, because there's a very fine line between magnetic absence and cold indifference. The key is showing genuine interest when she deserves your attention, but without that attention becoming need. And that's precisely what we'll talk about in the next point. The second trick is what I call micro-emotion reading. This is your secret superpower for connecting at a level that goes beyond words. Most men listen to words, but truly attractive men read the emotions behind those words. When she says, "I'm fine," but her body language says otherwise, you're the only one who truly sees her. When she says she doesn't care about something, but her eyes reveal she does care, you have the key to connect with her inner world. Neil Strauss always said that real seduction doesn't happen at the conscious level. It happens in those deeper layers where we keep our true emotions. And the woman who feels truly seen and understood develops a connection that goes beyond simple physical attraction. Let me give you a concrete example. You're talking to a woman at a party. She tells you about her job and says she loves it, but you notice her smile doesn't reach her eyes. While other men would keep talking about work, you could say something like, "It sounds like you have mixed feelings about that." That simple observation will make her feel more understood than any superficial compliment. Do you know why this works? Because most people live disconnected from their own emotions. When someone can read what they really feel, instant intimacy is created. Here's your exercise. For 1 week, practice this. In every conversation you have, pay more attention to how the other person feels than to what they're saying. Watch their tone of voice, their posture, the speed of their speech. You'll be surprised how much additional information you can pick up. But there's something even more powerful than reading her emotions, and that's controlling your own in a way that generates automatic attraction. This brings us to the third trick, which is mastering your internal emotional state. This is where we separate men who attract by accident from those who attract by design. Your emotional state is contagious. If you're nervous, she'll feel uncomfortable. If you're desperate, she'll feel pressured. But if you're genuinely relaxed and present, she'll feel safe and attracted. The key is understanding that your emotional state doesn't depend on how she reacts. It depends on your ability to stay centered no matter what happens around you. This doesn't mean faking confidence. It means cultivating real confidence that comes from knowing yourself. Neil Strauss talked about something he called the internal frame. Your internal frame is your reality, your world, your rules. When you have a strong internal frame, you don't need her to validate your decisions or your worth. You simply invite her to enter your world, instead of trying to fit into hers. Think about it this way. Imagine you're hosting a party at your house. You're not running after every guest asking if they're having fun. You trust that you created a good atmosphere and allow each person to decide whether they want to enjoy themselves or not. That's the energy you need to bring to every interaction. Have you ever noticed how the most attractive men never seem to be trying to impress? It's because their validation comes from within, not from other people's reactions. Here's your mantra for this week. My worth doesn't depend on her reaction. Repeat this before every important interaction. It's not just a phrase, it's mental reprogramming. And speaking of mental reprogramming, there's a fourth element that will completely change your game. The fourth trick is something I call strategic vulnerability. This is going to sound contradictory to everything you've been taught, but listen carefully. Controlled vulnerability is one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs that exists. I'm not talking about spilling all your problems on the first date. I'm talking about showing enough humanity so she feels she can connect with you on a real level. Most men project a perfect, boring image or go to the opposite extreme and share too much too quickly. The secret is in the balance, showing that you have emotional depth without becoming her therapist, showing that you face challenges without sounding like a victim. Neil Strauss discovered that the most interesting women are attracted to men who have overcome something significant. Not because they want to fix you, but because the ability to grow through adversity is a sign of mental and emotional strength. Let me give you an example. Instead of saying my life is perfect, you could share something like, a few years ago I went through a tough time that taught me a lot about what I really value. This opens an emotional door without sounding needy. Do you know what happens when you share something real about yourself? She feels permission to do the same. And that emotional reciprocity is where genuine connection is born. Your exercise for this: identify a difficult experience from your past that made you stronger. Practice telling it in 2 sentences maximum, focusing on what you learned, not on the drama. But there's a 5th trick that ties everything together and takes it to a completely different level. The last trick, the most powerful of all, is what I call the paradox of interested detachment. This is like the master level of emotional intelligence. It's about being genuinely interested in her as a person, while remaining completely detached from the outcome. Here's the paradox. The more genuinely interested you are in knowing her as a unique person, and the less you care if something romantic happens, the more likely something romantic is to happen. It's as if the universe rewards authenticity over strategy. Neil Strauss came to a conclusion after years of experience. The deepest and most lasting connections happen when you stop trying to make them happen. When your curiosity about her as a person exceeds your desire to impress or conquer her. This means asking questions because you really want to know her answers, not because you read that certain questions generate attraction. It means listening to her stories because they genuinely intrigue you, not because you're waiting for your turn to talk. Can you see the energetic difference? One comes from ego and need. The other comes from authentic curiosity and emotional abundance. Imagine you're a collector of fascinating stories. Every person you meet has something unique to share. With that mindset, every conversation becomes an adventure of discovery, not an audition to win her approval. Here's your final exercise, the most important one. For the next 7 days, in every interaction you have with a woman, ask her a question that comes from genuine curiosity about who she is. Not about what she does, but about who she is. What excites you most in your life right now? What's been the most significant change you've made in recent years? Do you know what's going to happen? She's going to feel something she rarely experiences, being seen and valued for who she really is, not for how she looks or what she can offer. Now let me tell you something important. These 5 tricks aren't tactics you use to manipulate. They're skills you develop to become a more authentic and attractive version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, true attraction isn't something you do, it's something you are. When you master magnetic absence, you stop needing external validation. When you read micro-emotions, you connect at a deeper level. When you control your internal state, you radiate real confidence. When you use strategic vulnerability, you allow authentic connections. And when you practice interested detachment, you become truly irresistible. Do you realize what we've really been talking about here? Not tricks to get women, but how to become the kind of man women naturally seek. A man who's comfortable with himself, who can read and connect emotionally, who has real depth, and who values authenticity over results. If you feel this message has resonated with you, if you've recognized some areas where you can grow, I want you to write in the comments, "I choose authenticity." Let's see how many of you are ready for this level of personal growth. Because here's the final truth. These skills aren't just going to improve your romantic life. They're going to improve all your relationships. They're going to make you more interesting to yourself. They're going to turn you into someone others want to know, not because you're trying to impress, but because you've genuinely become impressive. Remember when we started talking about emotional intelligence? Now you understand it's not about tricks or techniques. It's about developing emotional intelligence so refined that you can navigate the world of relationships with the same ease you walk through your own house. And that, my friend, is what truly attracts. Not desperation disguised as confidence, not memorized lines or rehearsed routines, but the authentic presence of a man who knows himself, who values real connections, and who has the emotional strength to be vulnerable when appropriate and strong when necessary. The world is full of men trying to fake it till they make it. But you're going to be different. You're going to develop these skills from the inside out. You're going to build a solid foundation of self-knowledge and self-acceptance that will make attraction something natural, not something forced. Are you ready to begin this journey? Are you prepared to invest in yourself in a way that changes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself? If the answer is yes, then make sure to subscribe to this channel because we're going to dive much deeper into each of these concepts. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. And if this content has helped you, share it with someone you know who could also benefit. Remember, it's not about becoming someone different. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are. And that version, my friend, is absolutely irresistible.